In LA this week, Porter Ranch residents demand that the Aliso Canyon gas facility be shut down. We'll take you to the hearing.
Columbine, Virginia Tech, Fort Hood, Tucson.
A new state law that went into effect on January 1st allows law enforcement and the courts to confiscate your firearms if there's reason to believe you may be at risk to yourself or others. I'm Gil Reyes outside the LA City Attorney's Office with the story.
I'm Rasha Goel. Up next, more on the record-breaking numbers in LA tourism.
Hello and welcome to LA This Week. Thanks for joining us. I'm Yana Kay. Our top story, as Southern California gas officials continue their attempts at fixing the ongoing Aliso Canyon gas leak, Porter Ranch residents say that's just not enough. Thousands packed a meeting with air quality regulators demanding that the entire facility be shut down for good. Anna Marcos has more.
This facility and others like it need to be shut down.
Thank you, Mr. Foley. Mr. Foley.
Community outcry continues to mount over the 3-month-old gas leak at the Aliso Canyon storage facility. The leak erupted last October, and residents have complained of health issues, headaches, stomach problems, vomiting, and nausea, as the facility spews tons of gas and chemicals into the air.
I started getting very severe headaches and nosebleeds, and my asthma that I never had came, and so I had to get inhalers.
This public hearing held by the South Coast Air Quality Management District helped gather evidence. It came on the heels of a state of emergency order by Governor Jerry Brown. The order asked SoCalGas to stop the leak and monitor emissions and to foot the bill for a study on health impacts and pay for an air monitoring plan, among other requirements.
We've got this plume of gas with toxic chemicals spewing into the northwest San Fernando Valley. We've got 10,000 people. 10,000 people have now been displaced out of their homes. This is one of the largest catastrophes, environmental, economic, civic, community catastrophes of my lifetime, certainly.
Some disturbing facts to come out of the hearing. SoCalGas knew decades ago that pipe valves in the wells needed replacement, but considered they weren't critical enough, and there were no contingency plans in case of a massive leak.
They had to bring equipment in from the Gulf states that took weeks to set up. They had to hire outside engineers and experts. That's not acceptable.
SoCalGas officials say they've tried repairing and plugging the well 7 times. Now they are drilling more than 8,000 feet down to the leak in an effort to seal it.
This accident is being addressed as safely and expeditiously as possible. This is SoCalGas's highest priority.
For community members, it's not enough.
The discharge gas and its odor emissions is having an adverse impact on our schools, businesses, families, and pets.
This is a critical problem. This is a mini Chernobyl. This is a problem.
Back in October, SoCalGas officials said they would repair the leak within days. Now, 3 months later, they estimate repairs could be complete in late February or March, at least until further notice. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
So far, more than 2,500 families have been relocated. Well, he's been accused of protecting fellow officers, but not this time. The LAPD's chief breaks tradition by recommending criminal charges against one of his own following a deadly shooting in Venice. Gil Reyes has more. Gil.
Well, Yana, as of deadline time for this story, LA County DA Jackie Lacey has not filed criminal charges against the officer who gunned down a homeless man here in Venice back in May. But one thing is for sure, LAPD Chief Charlie Beck, in what many consider to be an unexpected move, is recommending criminal charges against that officer. Today we got reaction from area residents.
I wish he goes to jail for a long time.
I think he should definitely be doing some time.
Venice residents we spoke to all agree. They believe the police shooting of Brendan Glenn, an unarmed homeless man, was not justified. And in a rare admission, the LAPD's chief feels the same way.
It's important that the chief of police not only stand up for the department when it's right, which is the vast majority of the time, but also be forthright when he sees something that he believes is wrong.
For the first time in his 6-year tenure, Chief Charlie Beck is pushing for criminal charges against a fellow officer in a fatal on-duty shooting. Officer Clifford Proctor says he shot Glenn near the Venice boardwalk when he reached for an officer's gun during an altercation. But Chief Beck says surveillance video and witness testimony rule out that story. Residents say they hope the chief's recommendation will help expose Venice's so-called bad cops.
Maybe they'll look at this area again and see who they have on their force around here, get some better officers in the area.
People we spoke to complain of constant alleged police brutality, particularly against the homeless. Civil rights groups have accused Beck of protecting cops from punishment, most notably when he cleared 2 officers in the 2014 shooting of Ezell Ford, an unarmed black man. The chief says his decisions regarding officers are based on evidence.
And not only willing to stand up for our folks when we believe in them, but also when we recognize a criminal act.
Glenn was among 21 people fatally shot by LAPD in 2015, a 52% increase from the previous year. In Venice, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
Though the case advances to the LA County DA's office, prosecutors there have not filed criminal charges against a law enforcement officer in 15 years. Well, it was a panel discussion on the homeless from a business perspective. Anna Marcos has more on the latest attempt to wrangle a solution to the problems on Skid Row.
The homeless challenge has become too great for businesses to ignore. And now the Rotary Club of Los Angeles is holding its own forum to hash out possible solutions to the growing crisis on our streets.
We've got a chronic problem of over 25,000 men, women, and children, veterans, living on the streets of Los Angeles, 45,000 here in the county of Los Angeles. Thinking about the cold weather, El Nino coming, we've got to act quickly. This is a crisis.
The crisis is a humanitarian one, but it also affects the bottom line of both businesses and the city.
This is a problem that affects all of us. We all have to come together to ultimately develop and implement solutions.
Homelessness also affects crime rates. For the first time in years, the crime rate has gone up, especially in the downtown area and Skid Row, home to much of LA's homeless population.
In my opinion, the problem of homelessness is a problem of poverty, it's a problem of mental illness, and it's a problem of substance abuse. And those are the 3 things that need to be tackled.
Many believe the best way to tackle the issue is permanent housing with supportive services for mental and drug problems. Places like Utah have become role models.
The last 10, 11 years, we've had a 91% reduction in our chronic homeless numbers from 2,000 down to a little under 200. So we've had great success.
Economically, it's a lot cheaper than incarceration, emergency rooms, that kind of health care. Los Angeles Police Department constantly out there enforcing.
For many, it's a problem we can no longer ignore for the sake of our humanity, our well-being, and our pocketbooks. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
Dozens of business and local leaders, some from as far away as Utah, attended the event. Well, City Attorney Mike Feuer hopes families will take advantage of a new California gun law. It enables them to report relatives who they consider to be mentally unfit to own firearms. Gil Reyes has more from City Hall. Gil.
Yes, Yana, this gathering at the LA City Attorney's Office makes clear a new state law that allows the courts and law enforcement, at least temporarily, to seize your firearms if your relatives believe you may be at risk to yourself or others. The bell rings for victims of mass shootings across the country.
Columbine, Virginia Tech, Fort Hood, Tucson.
Patricia Mach survived the mass shooting in Tucson, Arizona that claimed the lives of 6 people in 2011. Veronica Weiss wasn't as lucky. She was murdered in the 2014 Isla Vista shooting spree in Santa Barbara County. 5 others also died.
All this could have been prevented.
Veronica's dad, Bob Weiss, is all for the new California law known as the Gun Violence Restraining Order. It allows cops and courts to seize your firearms if your relatives raise concerns about your mental state.
Here in California, family members will be eligible to seek a court order. And let's face it, who knows you better than your family? They see the issues first.
The parents of Isla Vista shooter Elliot Rodger had raised concerns about their son's mental health, but didn't have the mechanism at the time to seek a gun restraining order. But now, courts will be able to confiscate guns for 21 days. At that point, gun owners can appeal to have their weapons returned.
The person is not going to be harmed. The person is not going to be incarcerated unless they are illegally possessing those weapons in the first place. What is happening is a temporary removal of weapons from them until it can be shown that there is no risk in the future.
City Attorney Mike Fewer hopes gun violence restraining orders will also reduce the number of suicides by firearm owners. And the first line of defense, parents and siblings of gun owners who may be able to spot the red flags first. In downtown LA, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
City Attorney Mike Fewer does not foresee objections from the National Rifle Association. While El Nino preparations continue throughout the city, Rasha Goel has more on how city and federal officials are working together to make safety along the LA River a top priority during the rainy season.
This serene stream flows freely now, and that's how city leaders hope to keep it even during the expected heavy El Nino rains. The city, along with LA County and Army Corps of Engineers, hope an infusion of $3.6 million in emergency federal funding for flood prevention measures.
It's critical that we remain poised and that we remain ready. More storms are coming, and with them, they'll bring mudslides, they'll bring damage.
Additionally, we received approximately $500,000 this week in operation and maintenance funding to begin vegetation removal from the highest risk areas within the channel.
4-foot-high barriers will be placed in areas starting at Griffith Park to the Elysian Valley, and 3 acres of invasive plants along the riverbanks will be removed on Riverside Drive Bridge near the zoo.
The temporary measures that we're announcing today, which are these barriers along 3 miles of channel, will restore the channel capacity and reduce the risk of flooding.
Officials say they are also prepared to help the homeless community during this trying time.
We've opened up our shelters since October, and we continue to see the need for many of our residents and homeless individuals that need to know where to go.
That because of the preparation and the work that is being done right now, our neighborhoods will be safe.
As the city prepares for El Nino, city officials are also urging Angelenos to have a plan in place for potential flooding. I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
For any additional information or emergency updates, you can log on to elninola.com. Well, former tenants take Airbnb to court. The online rental platform and building owners are named in a lawsuit claiming wrongful evictions. The plaintiffs claim to be victims of the so-called new sharing economy. Gil Reyes has more from the Fairfax district.
I just want justice. I mean, he broke the law. Our landlord broke the law.
Ronald Fontenot is one of 5 former tenants fighting to get their old apartments back from what they call a shady landlord.
He was allowed to remove us from our apartments, but he lied to us because he didn't take it off the market.
Under California's Ellis Act, landlords can evict tenants if they take their properties off the rental market. But plaintiffs say that's not what happened here. Plaintiffs say the landlord turned the apartments into short-term rental units shortly after the evictions in 2014, advertising the units on the Airbnb website, then charging new renters up to 10 times the old rent. Airbnb is also a defendant in the case. Area Councilman Paul Koretz says such practices are growing and need to stop.
Yeah, this is a clear violation of everything that makes sense in the city of Los Angeles. We're facing a record level of homelessness, and yet we've taken thousands and thousands of units off the market through Airbnb.
Plaintiffs say turning the 4 apartments into a pseudo-hotel with a revolving door of tenants is ruining the neighborhood.
And now today, we haven't been here for about a year and a half, and today we've met a lot of our neighbors that we used to know. Everybody's hugging and kissing us and saying it's been hell for them to live next door to it.
28 people living in this unit as a hotel. And you don't know who these people are. There's a school across the street.
As of deadline time for this story, no reaction from Airbnb or the building owner. In the Fairfax district, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
Plaintiffs are demanding the right to return. They also want their old rental fees, which average around $1,800 a month per unit. While many of LA's movers and shakers are working to make sure LA's future transit growth is good for Angelenos, Anna Marcos takes us to the LA Thrives Big Table, where some ideas of the future are born.
It's a sign of the changing times when a transit agency literally goes off the rails to focus not just on transportation, but on the community around its tracks. This LA Thrives Big Table Luncheon brings together Metro officials, business leaders, and local groups to talk about sustainability and how transit growth can benefit all Angelenos.
Who could not notice the fact that we're spending $40 billion here in LA County to double the size of our transit system and the impact that it will have on our neighborhoods?
Metro board leaders themselves have decided they can no longer focus only on trains and buses. That LA's changing environment forces them to get involved in housing, the community, and the environment.
There are few other public assets that can be more profoundly impactful and change and enhance a community, like the issue of transportation infrastructure.
Metro has already committed to making 35% of the housing on its property affordable housing, and it's making a $10 million investment to expand housing and to keep small businesses in communities. But the goal doesn't stop there.
We really want to say we spent $40 billion. We got healthier people because they're walking more. We got cleaner air. We got reduced greenhouse gas emissions. We got less congested freeways, people on the train, on the buses, a healthier community.
And it looks like this networking event is already off to a healthy start. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
For more information, visit lathrives.org. Well, for the 5th consecutive year, the city has been seeing record-breaking growth in LA tourism. Rasha Goel has more on the numbers and stats.
We see no letting up of bookings even in these last couple of weeks.
Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti just talked about record-breaking numbers in LA tourism. Now, according to him, there has been an increase of 1.3 million people visiting Los Angeles over 2014.
Last year, welcome to the City of Angels, a new record of 45.5 million visitors. Today, more people choose to work, live, study, and visit Los Angeles than ever in our history.
The growth in tourism has had a great impact on the economy and jobs.
In direct spend, those 45 million folks spent almost $19 billion in our hotels, our restaurants, taxi cabs, things like that.
In Los Angeles, we have nearly 500,000 jobs, 464,000 to be exact, that come from our leisure and hospitality industry, which includes tourism.
Part of the growth is contributed to a huge increase in tourism from China to Los Angeles. More than 779,000 Chinese tourists visited Los Angeles last year.
We are a destination not only for our natural beauty, mountains and beaches, our theme parks, our world-famous landmarks, but also for folks who want to do business with the 3rd largest metropolitan economy in the world.
Visitors from South Korea also spiked with an increase of 11% over the last year. With Los Angeles being a connecting hub to 67 cities and 34 countries, airport officials are successfully moving forward with the modernization program at LAX.
LA World Airports is spending over $8 billion to improve the guest experience by rebuilding and modernizing its terminals, making changes to the airport's dining retail offerings, and upgrading our technology in a very significant way.
It is our goal and our vision to ensure that the millions of travelers that use LAX have an airport experience that is purely world-class.
After all, we can't expect anything less in a world-class city. I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
LAX is the 5th busiest airport in the world. While a new homelessness report addresses ways to get people off the streets, LA's lawsuit against SoCal Gas garners more support, and LA's newest pro soccer team unveils its newest logo. All these stories and more in CityBeat. The City of Los Angeles released a draft homelessness strategy report, which lays the foundation for a regional approach to addressing this chronic issue. The report represents a commitment shared by Mayor Eric Garcetti and the City Council to scale up best practices for getting people off the streets and into homes. The report calls for substantially expanding staffing, services, rental subsidies, and permanent housing for the city's homeless residents. Its recommendations will guide the mayor's and city council's short and long-term homelessness policy decisions. The report also identifies potential funding streams and begins to estimate initial costs that will help inform the mayor's proposed 2016-2017 budget. City Attorney Mike Feuer announced that the County of Los Angeles has joined his suit against the Southern California Gas Company over the ongoing public health emergency at their natural gas facility near Porter Ranch. Feuer said the move is an important development to end this disaster, get relief for residents, and ensure nothing like this happens again. The leak began in October, forcing thousands of residents to move because of health concerns. Mayor Eric Garcetti joined the Los Angeles Football Club, LA's newest pro soccer team, to officially unveil its logo and colors at LA's Union Station. The pitch black and California gold colors are meant to embody the success, urban texture, and glamour of Los Angeles. The LA monogram incorporates a wing intended to pay homage to the City of Angels, with its power, mobility, and aspirational nature. The 4 blades represent the 4 club pillars and the city's founding date of September 4th, 1781. The Los Angeles Football Club will be an expansion franchise for Major League Soccer, beginning play in 2018. Before the new year, Councilmember Mitch O'Farrell hosted a city employee appreciation luncheon, serving everyone's favorite, Pink's hot dogs. The event was held at Fire Station 6 on Virgil Avenue. The goal was to bring the city family together and express gratitude for their hard work in the 13th District, from beautification projects to helping provide services for the homeless.
It's my way of giving thanks at the end of the year for all of the great work that city employees and nonprofit agencies have done in my district.
A new cafe and juice bar at Pacoima City Hall could provide the economic jolt the area needs. As Gil Reyes reports, art, tourism, and fresh produce are all part of the recipe.
Cafe O Muerte Coffee Shop and Fruta y Cultura Juice Bar. Both just opened, both expected to give Pacoima a much-needed energy boost.
We're doing it with local produce being grown by our neighbors.
This ribbon cutting, more than just a celebration of 2 new businesses opening up, but also what Councilman Felipe Fuentes calls social enterprise.
A customer who comes and enjoys a simple cup of coffee doesn't realize that the money spent on this is attacking a lot of policy challenges in our community.
Problems like unemployment, lack of healthy food options, and the absence of a true arts and cultural hub in Pacoima. But that may be changing. Over a cup of joe, Councilman Fuentes reveals that many of the young people behind the counter are from the Youth Policy Institute, working students earning money for college. Both businesses are also just steps away from a new open-air museum. It's expected to house a revolving door of art themes year-round. The hope is visiting art lovers with money to spend will also love juice and coffee.
We had the second annual Day of the Dead Festival in November that got a lot of attention.
The juice bar also buys its produce fresh from local growers Eldwin and Noemi Herrera.
And now we volunteer and we go help other families put on their own beds and grow their food, right?
I mean, it's mind-blowing, right? I mean, we grew up in the city and men taught us how to grow our own food, and now we're doing it, and now we're going to provide it for our community. It's exciting.
And make money.
And make money. We're exciting.
So come get a taste of the new Van Nuys Boulevard in Pacoima.
Celebrate the art, celebrate a great street, and a great cup of coffee.
How was the coffee, bud?
Cacao latte, delicious.
For LA This Week, I'm Gil Reyes.
Cyclists are invited to stop by when Ciclavia rolls through Pacoima in March. Well, families in North Hollywood are celebrating new improvements at a local park, and the kids can't seem to get enough. These youngsters are playing tag on the new playground just installed at the North Hollywood Recreation Center on Chandler Avenue in the San Fernando Valley, and they're having a blast.
I like the things that are called doors. You swing from door to door to door to door until you get to the top. I just made that name up.
City officials and community members gathered recently for the official ribbon cutting. The new playground will serve more than 1,500 local children ages 2 to 12 and countless visitors.
I like having fun here.
The nature-inspired design offers plenty of space to play for many kids at once, while the 6 sail canopies provide shade.
Oh, this is nice. This is very good for the kids. I have 2 girls. They're both, we love going here.
There's also new rubberized safety surfacing, which replaces a sand pit area, allowing access to children and parents of all abilities and reducing maintenance costs. And for Councilmember Paul Krikorian, it's these kinds of accomplishments he loves the most.
You see these kids who are building memories right now, and they're building physical strength and health, they're building character.
Paul Krikorian said that 15,000 people live near the park, and at least 10% are young kids who will now be using this playground. Future plans include additional lighting and summer youth and arts programs. Get your fill of vintage rock with the classic sounds of the band Dawes. Enjoy the LA River as it comes alive at night, and a unique mystery dinner show will keep you guessing all evening long. That's all in this week's Things to Do. 23rd at the Theater Ace Hotel, located at 929 South Broadway at 8 p.m. For more, visit dawestheband.com. Enjoy the LA River under the stars with the LA River Night Run, a mini festival-style event that features open fields along the LA River and includes a 5K fun run, games, live music, giveaways, a vegan taco bar, a fire pit with s'mores, and free beer. The LA River Night Run series is meant to highlight the beautiful nature and public project advancements of the river at night within an activity-filled, family-friendly atmosphere. Headlamps and warm clothes are highly suggested. Throw on your running shoes on Sunday, January 24th, and head to 2800 Casitas Avenue at 7 p.m. for all the fun. The Dinner Detective is the largest interactive comedic murder mystery dinner show in the U.S. The popular shows are set in the present day. Performers are dressed just like everyone else, leaving all of the guests to suspect who is a part of the show and who's not. In many instances, guests are seated with the performers and don't even realize it until they die. The performers, that is. Each ticket includes a 4-course meal, interactive show, prizes, and more. Find out who done it on Saturday, January 23rd at 6 p.m. at Vitello's Restaurant, located at 4349 Tahunga Avenue in Studio City. For more, visit thedinnerdetective.com. And that's a look at some things to do. Well, that's going to do it for this edition. I'm Yana Kay, and from all of us here at LA This Week, thanks for joining us. A reminder that you can catch us online at lacitybeview.org. You can also follow and like us on Facebook. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.